Will Davon Godchaux be heading to New England Patriots training camp with a brand new deal? Stick around. You're about to be locked in to the Locked On Patriots podcast.
You are Locked On Patriots, your daily New England Patriots podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello to all of you Foxborough faithful, and thank you once again for making Locked On Patriots a daily part of your New England Patriots coverage. Don't forget, Locked On Patriots is not only a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, but we're also free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. So smash that subscribe button and download and follow Locked On Patriots wherever you get your podcasts to ensure that you're getting the latest episode as soon as it's available. I'm your host, Mike Debate. I cover your New England Patriots for the Patriots country. So reach out to me and let me know what's on your mind on X at MDABATENFL. And while you're out there showing some social media love to Locked On Patriots, please follow our account there as well at LO_Patriots. And Pats fans, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Even though the playoffs are now in the rearview mirror, this summer FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. And Pats fans, thank you for joining us here today. A bit of a summer break going on with our Locked On show, but bottom line, we are happy to be back with you, and we brought the big man to do it, our good friend Thomas Murphy, along for the ride today, because Murph, there is a lot to talk about in Patriots Nation, and it centers around keeping core guys here, and we're keeping our core guys here in New England because he is the legendary man himself, the Count of Murphy Fisto. Thank you for coming to me in friendship today and helping me along with these contract discussions, Don Murph.
Oh, happy to be here, man. Happy to be here. It's always a pleasure to have a sit down here with my paisan, Mike.
Absolutely. You know, we'll keep this to a minimum. We got a little Pellegrino, and we'll be all set, and everything will be ready to go. But bottom line, folks, contract extensions are the talk of the town in New England. Certainly a new era when it comes to extending running backs, Murph. Not something that Bill Belichick and the Brain Trust up there for a couple of decades did all that much of. But bottom line, New England is keeping its core guys intact. Gerard Mayo and Elliott Wolf, they are making good on that decree. And one of our good friends, our good business associates, Rhamondre Stevenson, is not only looking fantastic, he always looks fantastic, but he's feeling fantastic after signing a pretty good contract extension last week. Murph and I are going to talk about that extension and what it means for the fantastic opportunities it may open up for the New England Patriots offense and who might be next on the horizon for a potential contract extension. But Murph, we're going to start today with the big man in the middle. Not necessarily on the offensive side of the ball. We do a lot of talk of offensive line, big round men up front, but we're going to talk one of the biggest and the baddest on the defensive line, and that is Davon Godchaux. Right now, as the situation stands, Davon was basically what you would probably call a hold-in at mandatory minicamp.
We called him that 2 weeks ago.
Exactly. Showed up all 3 days,
did
not participate, but was there. He cannot be fined for not showing up. But it's clear that he is looking to expound upon a deal right now that is set to pay him $8.3 million in 2024. That's according to Over the Cap, and of course that's been confirmed by our good friend and our legendary business partner, Miguel Benzan. But once again, none of this is guaranteed. He's looking for a little security, folks. No one can blame him. He has done everything the Patriots have asked him to do since walking through the doors here in Foxborough and then some. So most of Patriots Nation has been wondering whether or not he and the Patriots can get something done prior to training camp or maybe even during training camp. Our good friend and business partner, PFN's Dan Kelly, took to Twitter on Monday night, or X, or whatever you happen to call the app these days, and had a question for Davon and asked him kindly to weigh in on whether or not he believed he was going to receive a contract extension or whether or not that contract talks could possibly amp up between he and the Patriots in a couple of days. And lo and behold, Davon answered him. He quote tweeted and said the following, and I'm quoting directly now from Davon Godchaux's response to Dan Kelly. That is, quote, hopefully we can get something done that's fair to me and my team before camp starts. I love New England. I would love to retire here, but it has to make sense for us. What I do on the football field in the trenches most of the time doesn't show on the stat sheet turn on the film and you will see if you
Right.
know ball. Would love to finish my career here in New England, but it has to make sense to me and my team. And of course, he's referring to obviously not just his professional team, but also personally his family. You can never ask more from a player than that. That's exactly what Davon feels he's entitled to. And again, Murph, everything the Patriots have asked him to do, he's done. So when you look at this situation and you look at what Davon had to say, does this make you more optimistic or more pessimistic that a deal can get done between now and the opening of training camp in late July?
I'm optimistic that something will get done. All right. At the end of the day, I mean, you also heard what Gerard Mayo had to say about this situation. He said that he wouldn't call it a hold-in, but there are guys that obviously want to redo their contracts, stuff like that. And I'm quoting right from what he said. And it's not just Godchaux. There's a bunch of guys who want to do those things. He also said that one thing I've learned is sometimes the value that a team has on a person is a little bit different than the value the market has on a person. I didn't like that. You could take that one way or the other. He said these are things that he's just learning. He's not just learning this, people. He's been a player in this league. He knows that there's a difference between what a team values you at and what the market values you at. And so that gives me a little bit of pause. But yeah, I am hopeful that they can get things done. And it's something that I believe needs to get done. As we said before, Belichick has called Godchaux one of the best defensive linemen in the NFL. That's because he does know ball, people. He does know ball. And what they need to do is tweak this contract in a way that's going to keep Devon in this Patriots uniform for at least the next 3 years. Is he a top tier defensive tackle? I'm not sure that I would do that. I'm not sure that I would go the way of Bill Belichick, but this is a man that has started all but one game since he came here. Okay. He is the best run stuffer on this team. All right. He is the only nose tackle on this team. You go and you look at the depth chart. He's the nose tackle. He's the man. Oh, yeah. And, when and that's something that does not often show up on the stat sheet. He's the guy up there taking on two offensive linemen while somebody else goes and grabs the sack, while somebody else goes and gets to the running back. But it's imperative that you have this type of person on your team. And I'm not going to speculate too much on what this contract extension should be, but I think it should be a 2-year extension. I feel like $8 million a year is about right. It comes down to the guaranteed money.
I'm glad that you mentioned that because I think that's the essence to this entire argument. I don't necessarily think that Davon is unhappy with making approximately 8.3 or $8 million a season. I think he's pretty satisfied with that. I think it's just about the guarantee at this point and the number of years remaining on his contract. So that way he knows he's got the security to be able to do what he wants financially. Right. It's important to players. It's important to everyone in every walk of life. But, we're talking larger amounts here when we're talking professional athletes. And look, I know a lot of people are going to point to it and, like you said, say, well, is he a true nose? Is he this? Yes, folks, he is. He absolutely is. Davon is such a great fit when it comes to the New England Patriots and their two gapping schemes. And especially the last couple of years, we've seen that. This is a guy that can take on the double team. I'll say a little bit more about that in a moment. But when you look at him individually and you look at his individual skill set, most people would look at him and say, okay, well, he's going to thrive in a 4 technique role or maybe even, a 5 technique role, maybe some 3. He's versatile. He can pretty much do it all. But the thing that I really love about what the Patriots have done with him is utilizing him to take on the double team. And that's where you see his true value. That allows the linebackers, the edge rushers, to get the chance to keep opposing quarterbacks uncomfortable. It allows the Patriots up front to be able to fully defend the run. And you've seen them make such leaps and bounds from a couple of years ago when the Achilles heel to this Patriots defense was stopping the run. It's something they just simply could not do. They're a top 3 defense at stopping the run last year. So Davon Godchaux has really come forward and really helped this team make that move to the next level. his versatility, his abilities right there on film. I completely love what he said about watching the film. If you know ball, you'll see where my value is. And that's exactly what Bill Belichick was talking about a couple of years ago when he called him one of the best defenders in the league. It's the little things that you don't see on the stat sheet that may not make social media highlight reels, but it's something that is so important to the way this team defends. So he's got a lot of leverage there when it comes to his value to this team. The question is his value in line with where Elliott Wolf and Gerard Mayo are talking right now? Mostly Wolf, because, I mean, Mayo has said that he tries not to get too much into player contracts. He leaves it to Elliott and the brain trust, but you know he's going to have some say in this as well. This is Gerard's area of expertise. He was an exemplary defender when he played here in New England, so he knows a thing or two about defense. You know he knows the value of Davon Godchaux. It's going to be whether or not the Patriots are willing to guarantee him money for the future. Right. And that leads me quite nicely into my final question for you on Devin for the day, and that is whether or not you think his comments may have tipped the hand of the Patriots a little bit more. Do you think by him mentioning this, that's a signal that these discussions were taking place and they were taking place at a pretty good clip? Or do you think this was kind of like a little bit of a wake-up call for the Pats saying, hey, I'm here, I'm ready to negotiate, call me because my phone's not ringing and it should be?
Yeah, I think the latter. You know, he did his hold in, and now he's just putting another layer on top of that. Now, listen, folks, are you getting Vince Wilfork here? You know, no, you're not. But he's not asking for, you know, that type of money from what I believe. But I just know that you're not getting Albert Hainsworth either. Okay.
Good point.
You know, you're gonna pay this man. He's gonna go out there and he's gonna earn every dime that you give him. Whether it's a 2-year extension, whether it's 3-year extension, $8-9 million a year. It's not a lot to ask for somebody who comes to work every Sunday.
Yeah. Very good point. Very, very good point. And again, you mentioned, and we've both mentioned, the importance that he has to that front seven and facilitating that defense. It also has a ripple effect on the secondary as well. When that front seven is playing well and you're getting stopped at that first line, it makes the job of the secondary so much easier.
You don't have to fill that box up. You don't have to take that extra defender and bring him down because you've got these guys up front that are just eating up human beings on the other side of the ball. Get this done.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. And, you know, you look at all the work that he does in the community. Devin is one of the most charitable players on this team. And that's saying a lot because there are a lot of guys that donate so much time and money to various charities throughout this region. Tip of the cap to him when it comes to that. And he's a great teammate. People do love playing with him, and they enjoy him being in this locker room and being a mentor.
He's a real leader.
Many of the young players.
He's a real leader here in this locker room, and that's saying something. And that's something that when you're going through the changes that the Patriots are right now, and we'll talk about this in a minute, that the non-changes that they're going through, you need this kind of stability in the locker room. And I have no issue with them giving him a 2-year extension on top of this and let this man breathe a little bit easier.
Yeah, we'll see. The Patriots opening training camp, their first practice open to the public, announced on Tuesday morning to be Wednesday, July 24th. I'll be there. I cannot wait to see it. And bottom line, it's going to be a lot of fun. Will Davon Godchaux be there with a new contract in hand? Well, folks, the jury is still out on that one, but Murph and I believe that this is something that not only can get done, but should get done. And one thing that did get done last week was our good friend Rhamondre Stevenson. He has a new contract extension in his pocket, but the Patriots have typically not been so eager to extend running backs in the past. Why were the New England Patriots willing to make a little bit of a break from the norm this year, and why did they have to extend Rhamondre Stevenson now? There is a good reason. Murph and I are going to give it to you in just a moment when this episode of the Locked On Patriots podcast continues, a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Locked On listeners, passion, drive, and patience is what brings home that winning trophy. You know what? It's also what keeps your ride or die alive. Our good friends over at eBay Motors have everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers to roof racks to exhaust kits, LED headlights, and so much more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber and not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Patriots fans, thank you once again for joining us here today on Locked On Patriots. We're talking Patriots contract extensions, and joining me here today, as always, to kick off the week in style is my good friend, the legendary Thomas Murphy. And Murph, we talked a lot about Davon Godchaux and his comments recently on social media about trying to work his way out and get a contract extension. Well, one contract extension that did get done last week was Rhamondre Stevenson, the man who always looks fantastic on the field. Well, now he's feeling fantastic. The Pats and Stevenson agreeing to a 4-year, $36 million contract, keeping him in the Foxborough fold for at least the foreseeable future. Being met with mostly positive reaction from the media, definitely approval from the fan base. People seem to like this one. There are still a few concerns out there that are lingering, and some people are wondering, why so much in terms of incentives, guaranteed money, $17 million seems like a lot. The Patriots had him under a reasonable contract. Why extend him now? Murph, you and I both know the importance of Rhamondre Stevenson to this team, to this offense, to this locker room, and what he does on the field. When you look at the extension that was agreed to by both parties, why do you think it's a good move? Or if you don't, please let us know why you think it's not such a good move and what it really means for the Patriots moving forward.
I believe it's a great move. I think it's a fantastic move. It's right in line with the money that I said 2 weeks ago that he was going to get. They had an extra year on it, but I said between $15 and $18 million guaranteed for the deal, and it came down at $17 million. A little pat on the back to myself right there. But no, it's a tad bit surprising in the way that they've gone about things in re-signing all of these guys that they have over the past few months, especially when, Bill, the GM, doesn't do a good job, yet you're sitting there and you're giving these guys all this money and Nomacek agrees.
There's Nomacek. Tip of the cap to Nomacek.
Yeah. And but no, Rhamondre is a 3-down back. He might not be the typical pass catching back that you would bring in on third down, but he's a 3-down back. It's going to come down to health. Now, last year, Mike and I talked a couple weeks ago about this, that Rhamondre missed time at the end of last season again. But if the Patriots had been in it, we were both fully confident that he would have been out there and playing. Right. This is somebody that is comfortable here, knows the system, wants to be here, and it sends a message to other players around the league that, yes, people come here, and no matter what they say in surveys, this is a great place to play, and you want to be here. Now, you can go talk about how in the past Bill has not extended guys, but I mean he has. Ben Jarvis Green Ellis signed an extension. Stephen Ridley signed an extension here, and of course Mr. White signed extension after extension after extension, to stay here in New England. So yeah, it has been done before. Bravo! I'm glad that the money is what it is, and I don't think that $17 million is too much of a guarantee for somebody that I consider one of the top 10 backs in the league.
Guaranteed, absolutely, and I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you.
One more point. I mean, you can look at his numbers and see how they dropped last year, but that specifically coincides with the fact that this offensive line was Swiss cheese.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, you also have to take into account the manner in which his season ended. I know it was toward the end of the year, but it still does matter. Yep. And running backs tend to be relied on more heavily as the weather gets poorer. Right. I think we've all seen that. So those numbers were definitely going to go up. Rhamondre's usage was only going to go up. So yeah, there's all those things to consider without any question. And bottom line, Murph, when you look at this contract, it's not an insurmountable contract.
Oh.
As a result of its completion, the Patriots still have over $45 million in available
Yep.
cap space. So if they want to, they have the money to extend Davon Godchaux. They have the money to go out and work something out with Matthew Judon. They still have the opportunity to do that, and we'll talk about those guys in just a minute. But keep in mind, Stevenson now ranking 7th among current running back contracts with guaranteed money, just a little behind Jahmyr Gibbs at 17.8 with the Detroit Lions.
Right.
Still far behind the Saints' Alvin Kamara at $34.3 million, which is a lot of guaranteed money for a running back.
Wow.
That is a lot. There's no question about it. But that's the question right now that I'm getting most often about this as well. If you look at what Rhamondre was under contract for before he signed this extension, approximately $3.2 million. Did he need to be extended now? Bill Belichick would have let this run out, and he would have used that 3.2 to his advantage and let Rhamondre kind of play himself into a new contract. Even if he was considering extending him, probably wouldn't have done it at this point. I think there's a very good reason why the Patriots did this, and it all points to Alex Van Pelt, in my opinion. I think Alex is looking at this guy and what we've seen from Rhamondre so far in off-season workouts, in OTAs, and in minicamp.
Yep.
He's healthy. I think we can see that. He's eager to showcase his skill set, and that skill set in an Alex Van Pelt offense is going to make him, I believe, one of the more important pieces offensively for this team, maybe even the most important piece, because Alex Van Pelt's offense, as we've said tons of times here on Locked On Patriots, is predicated on a strong, solid running game, taking the ball on his shoulders for the first couple of downs, putting the defense on its heels, using the run to open up play action, take some deep shots down the field, navigate the intermediate areas.
And can block.
Exactly. Absolutely. Without any question. And Rhamondre is good in all facets of that game. So when you look at that and you look at the fact that Rhamondre now can do this, I know the Patriots haven't started padded practices yet. I know contact is not something that Alex has seen, but when you look at a player and his ability to incorporate or facilitate that outside wide zone run scheme that they want to incorporate, Rhamondre can do it. I know he hasn't done it the last couple of years, but you go back to his days as an Oklahoma Sooner. He did it a lot at Oklahoma.
One of the reasons Bill wanted to change up offenses a couple of years ago, that he was able to fit into this.
Yeah, very good point. Yep. And I think Alex right then and there goes to Gerard. He goes to Elliott, and he said, look, this guy is necessary. I need him. I need him healthy, first of all, and I think he's got that. I need him at the top of his game. Rhamondre is always a competitor. Yep. He's going to give 110% on every snap, and I need him engaged. And what's the best way to get him engaged? Give him an opportunity to showcase that talent with a little less pressure when it comes to finances. You take that burden off him, you make him happy, and all of a sudden he's going to start running and going that extra mile that maybe even he didn't know he had. That, to me, is why this deal gets done now. It's because of Alex Van Pelt and this offense, and also because you're likely seeing Jacoby Brissett to start the season. At some point, you're going to need to play the rookie. Drake May is going to need to see the field. You need a running back that can take a lot of the pressure off of his shoulders. Rhamondre Stevenson is that guy. So that's why, folks, the Patriots looked at that $3.2 million and said, that's got to be increased because we need Rhamondre Stevenson clicking at the top of his game. Yep.
That's it. Absolutely. And when you get down to it, when you break down this contract, it's really a 2-year extension.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. It's a 2-year extension for $17 million. After that, we have no idea how much money is guaranteed on it, and they could basically walk away from it.
Yeah.
So just relax. Be glad Rhamondre is getting his money. Stop, trying to compare him to Saquon Barkley or whoever else who's always injured and always hurt. And just sit back and write. It's all going to, how successful he's going to be is predicated on how successful this offensive line is and how they take on this new offense. And it's one that Rhamondre fits in to quite well. He will look fantastic if everybody else is doing their job.
Absolutely. So well said. Couldn't have said it better. And I'm glad that you also mentioned his injury history or his durability. Yeah, there are a lot of running backs that are prone to injuries. There's no question about that. No one is saying otherwise. But when you look at Rhamondre's record, other than missing the time with the high ankle sprain this season, he only missed one game, and that was due to illness. And this is a guy that is durable. And if he can stay durable for the next couple of seasons, like Murph said, yeah, you're getting your money's worth in those 2 seasons, and then you can evaluate where you are in year 3 and year 4, and then find out if it's still worth your while to keep him on the roster
Yep.
or make a move. Patriots do give themselves an out, so I thought everything about this contract extension was good, including the timing, and I think it's going to mean some good things for the Patriots on the field this year. I think you're going to see a big season from Rhamondre Stevenson.
I agree.
I joined our good friends, the Foxborough fellas, late last
Oh,
week on there as a guest on their podcast, and we
Good
talked
group.
about who is going to be the offensive MVP of the New England Patriots. I went with Rhamondre Stevenson
Yeah.
for all the reasons that we discussed, and I think that contract extension makes it much more likely that he will play at that level. So, bottom line, folks, let us know your thoughts on Mondre's contract extension and what it means for the Patriots in the comments below. Or if you're listening to this podcast, you can tag Murph or I on social media, mostly on X or Twitter or Zitter, as my good friend calls it, at MDABATENFL or at TMurph207. But Murph, that leads us quite nicely into how we're going to wrap things up today here on
Okay.
Locked On Patriots, because we've talked about a gentleman who has been very vocal about his desire to get an extension or at least get some guaranteed money in Davon Godchaux, using social media as the vehicle to kind of re-engage the New England Patriots in some discussion.
Yep.
Rhamondre's already in the fold. He's already signed on the dotted line. That is good to go, and he's ready to go. But you know what, Murph? There's another player, another notable player, another high-profile player that is very much looking for a new deal or at least a little more financial security. He may be more worth it than anyone that's signed an extension to date in a New England Patriots uniform. Relax, folks. I said he might be. I didn't say it for sure. And Murph and I are going to discuss that and who might be next to sign on the dotted line in New England when this episode of the Locked On Patriots podcast wraps up right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Patriots fans, thank you once again for joining us here today on Locked On Patriots, and kicking off the week in style, as always, is my good friend, my main man, the legend himself, Thomas Murphy. And you see Murph on the screen, folks. I know we're not opening up the mailbag just yet, but that's because we're expecting 2 more big sacks of mail headed our way. So we are definitely going to go through and wade through all of that. Mailbag Monday's not going
Newman
anywhere.
called timeout.
He did. He called timeout. He's got to deliver some fish first, I understand, Murph. That doesn't always go well.
A few returnables going in over there in Indiana, wherever they're getting 10 cents a can for, something like that. But he's going to be here later during the week for us.
Absolutely. And, of course, as Newman always tells us, Murph, when you control the mail, you control information. And hopefully we've given you some information here on your New England Patriots, specifically when it comes to Pats looking for new deals. Well, Rhamondre Stevenson found his new deal, and we think it's a good deal all the way around for Rhamondre, for the Patriots, and, of course, for Patriots fans who love watching number 38 run the football every Sunday. Davon Godchaux took to social media, talked to our good friend Dan Kelly, and said that he's looking and hoping to get something done before training camp. If they don't, could mean for an interesting situation, folks. So keep a sharp eye on that.
Yeah.
We'll definitely be monitoring that in the coming weeks heading into training camp. But Murph, you and I both know that Davon is not the only Patriots player right now that is looking for a new deal. Matthew Judon has also been lobbying pretty hard for the Patriots to maybe ramp up negotiations. I don't want to say open up because I think they are somewhat taking place, but maybe there needs to be more of a sense of urgency. So in order to close today's episode, I guess maybe you can call this Mike's mailbag. I've got a question for you, my friend, and then I'll give my 2 cents in just a moment as well. If you're the New England Patriots and you're looking at either Matthew Judon or Davon Godchaux as being the next contract extension that you need to sign, I think we can both go on record to say we'd love to get these guys both under a deal. But if you had to prioritize one or the other, who would be your choice for the next to get an extension in New England?
I'm going to shock the world here and say Davon Godchaux. Davon Godchaux. All right. For all the reasons that we've talked about, Matthew Judon has been hurt the past 2 years, and yet this defense still has excelled. Okay. So other people have stepped up, and it's been a top flight defense, even with guys like Gonzalez out. You know, we could be looking at back-to-back years where our number one pick doesn't play.
Or sparingly.
Or sparingly. But no, I mean, I love Matthew Judon. You talked about him being a lobbyist. He's been a fantastic lobbyist for the New England Patriots, and that should be taken into account. But if I was going to get one of these deals done, and which one it was going to be first, it would be Godchaux. I would do him first. Now, on just to expand on that a little bit, if we've got the time, I do think Judon is definitely in need of a rework right now. He is 31 years old, but I would tack 2 more years on and bring it up to, the cap hit is I think $13.5 or $13.6 million a year. I would tack on 2 years and $26 million to this and bring this season's contract up to that $13 million. I forget what you said he was due to earn. It's like 6.7 or something.
Right now, 6.5 million.
6.5
salary this year,
and that's
a bargain.
That's wow, man. We're that's a blue light special at Kmart back in the 70s, folks. But no, I definitely think both of them should get done, but I would get Godchaux done first. All right. As I said before, he is the only nose tackle on this team.
Yeah.
He's the most versatile guy on this team. And just like on the offensive line, on the offensive side of the ball, everything starts with the big round guys. On the defensive side of the ball, it's got to start there. It has to start there. I know in the past that I've said that you build a defense from the outside in, but the pieces are there. You've just got to pay them and hope that they stay healthy. Davon Godchaux is the man. And he's shown that throughout his tenure in the NFL and especially here in New England. I'm with Bill. He is one of the better defensive tackles in this league, and get it done.
Well, it's hard to argue with the logic. And I think you also have to factor in the fact that Lawrence Guy is not going to be in that lineup this year. You need savvy veterans and guys that know where you need to be, players that have played in other systems and now have played in New England. Davon was someone that played with Miami for a number of years, and then Guy had that experience coming over from Baltimore. You're looking at guys like Barmore and Keon White, who are still kind of finding their way in terms of what their skill set is. I think Barmore is much more further along.
His Barmore should have been an All-Pro last year.
And I believe he will be this year. Keon is someone I think that is coming into his own, and you hear Gerard Mayo talk about how good he's performing.
And the other thing is, that's why Keon White was brought in here, is because of how many positions he can play on the field. He can get out there and play like Judon does. He can line up on the line of scrimmage and do all those kinds of things. But it's where this all starts as to where it's all going to finish. I understand that the team is trying to get younger, but this isn't the spot to get younger.
Very good point. Very good point. And I don't think anyone would question Davon Godchaux's value to this team or what he brings to this team. And again, I think you make a very compelling point. In the interest of doing what we do, I'm going to play devil's advocate, and I'm going to say that Matthew Judon may be in line or have an equal, if not greater, argument to get that type of extension that he's looking for now. This Patriots defense played at a very high level last year without Matthew Judon, without Christian Gonzalez. It's such a testament to their run defense and what Davon Godchaux and guys like Christian Barmore and Lawrence Guy and all of those guys up front did to contain the run and keep teams on their heels on early downs and prevent them from getting that type of momentum that they need. So, yes, there is precedent there for the Patriots being able to play without someone like him in the lineup. But when you look at the element of what that defense could have given you with him in the lineup, it really does kind of tilt the scales, I think. Matthew was their most productive defender when he went down. Just in 4 games, he already had 9 quarterback hits, 5 tackles for loss, 4 sacks, and 1 safety. That defense, again, continued to play at a high level, but their pass rush was definitely not the same after Matthew went down.
But was that scheme, or was it the lack of him?
Well, I think it's a little bit of both. I do believe it's a little bit of both, because take a look at what Matthew does, and he does well. His field awareness is some of the best I've seen in the game. And there is nothing that goes on the field, whether it's behind him or in front of him, that Matthew Judon is not aware of because of where he positions himself on the field. He never gives an offense an opportunity to get around him from reaching the corner on early downs. So you know that he's always going to be there, whether it's a run, whether it's a pass. He's going to make sure that not only himself, but his teammates are in position to be able to make plays. His presence forces teams to send multiple offensive blockers into the lane to try to keep him from being able to do his job. That's where the brilliance of someone like a Christian Barmore comes along, because he takes on that double team.
Right.
He's able to utilize his skill set to be that two-gapping type of defender, just like Godchaux, just like I believe Keon White will adapt this year, and maybe even someone like a Dietrich Wise, who is still very much a member of this team and a part of that pass rush.
Yeah.
It allows Matthew Judon to get after the quarterback and be a fearsome defender that you have to account for. You can't simply say, oh, okay, we're going to double-team Barmore, and that's going to end our problem. You're leaving Matthew Judon one-on-one on the edge, and he's going to win that battle each and every time.
Yep.
If you switch that and you say, okay, well, we're going to push guys to defend Judon, and we're going to make sure he doesn't beat us, then you've got someone now like a Joshua Uche that can get free and get after the quarterback. That's what you saw 2 years ago when Joshua Uche set a career high with 11.5 sacks. So it really does depend on how teams are trying to stifle or neutralize Judon, as opposed to where his greatest contribution comes for. Is it being a decoy for Joshua Uche and taking the defender and allowing him to roam free? Or is it someone that just has the ability to win one-on-one and relying on someone up front like a Godchaux, but mostly a Christian Barmore, who plays very well in tandem with a guy like Matthew Judon to break free and to get after the quarterback?
And
so
don't forget Anthony Jennings.
Absolutely. And you definitely can't forget those guys either. And look, in the middle part of that defense as well, there are so many guys that play their roles and play their roles well. Juwan Bentley, Jelani Tavai. There are so many players that contribute to how that front seven is able to play. To me, I think you absolutely need to keep those guys in place. But Judon seems to be one of the guys that's a constant. He's always involved, whether it's run, whether it's pass, whether it's the middle part of the defense, the coverage in the backfield. He's involved in it every step of the way. So while I agree with you that Godchaux makes a phenomenal case to be extended, I think the case for Judon is as equal as his.
It really is. And this just might be, this might be just giving round people love to round people. But, it's you can't go wrong with either one. But you got to. I'd like to see them both get done, especially this year when you have the money.
Before I let you go, let everyone know where they can reach out to you, where they can absorb all of your great wisdom and counsel and all of your great work, and what you got marinating in Murph's kitchen between now and the next time you show up here on Locked On.
Well, yeah, you can check me out on Zitter at TMurph207. You can read me over at diehardbostonsportsfans.com. I'm working on a little piece right now about the Red Sox front office and whether the recent success of this 8-2 run that they're on is throwing a monkey in the wrench. As to whether or not what they're going to do at the trade deadline, and or just sit back and say, oh no, we got guys coming back. We got guys coming back. We don't need it.
Yeah, folks, if you think offensive line talk with regarding to the Patriots gets Murph's ire up, wait until you hear him go off on Red Sox ownership and their commitment to spending money to make this team competitive. Yeah, I would definitely highly recommend it, folks. Anytime Murph puts pen to paper or voice to microphone, it's appointment listening, appointment viewing, and you're entertained and you'll learn more. You can't ask for more, folks, so keep a sharp eye on that Friday. And once again, we are honored, humbled, and thrilled to have him here on Locked On Patriots each and every week, multiple times a week, as many times as he wants to stop by. We will roll out the red carpet for our good friend Murph. Or I guess in this case, it'll be a green carpet, but still, you know the drill. We're definitely going to welcome him back. And folks, we welcome you all back this week because we are just scratching the surface. Training camp previews, more contract talk, Patriots evaluations, roster bubbles, all that talk and more. So on behalf of my good friend, the Count of Murphy Fisto himself, the legendary Thomas Murphy, I'm Mike Debate, reminding you all to stay safe and to stay well and to be the change you wish to see in the world. Have a great day, everyone, and we'll see you back here again tomorrow on Locked On Patriots.